Hey everyone, today we're going to be evaluating this Anker C1000 Solix. This is often on Amazon for half price. We picked it up for about $400 at the time, currently showing $450. And they call these solar generators, and they're actually just battery packs with extra features that can be powered by solar or mains power, not a generator. Either way, we're going to unbox it. We can see from Amazon it arrived as a box within a box, so we'll open the second box. And it's packaged well enough. There are only a couple of items in the box, so I'll get everything out on the bench. We've got a quick start guide, a user's guide, and a warranty card. Of course, the device itself, a mains power plug, an automotive charger, and then we have two cables that are used for solar power. I'll plug it into the wall immediately before I get started to top it off because I know that they don't ship at full power. Plugging it into mains AC all the way at the rear, breaker in the middle, followed by the DC car or solar charging port at the right. Here's the provided car charger cable, and we can see an interface for that connector. The other side of the unit has a flap which reveals a plug for the expansion battery. We don't have one of those. I'm going through my Variac only so we can see the kilowatt better on camera. So I'll fire up the Variac. Lights are coming on. We'll have a look at consumption while it's charging. It's at 88%. We're showing about 650 watts on the kilowatt, which is really close to the display screen of 651, so it's pretty accurate. There is a noticeable hum of fans on this side of the unit, but not too loud. Once it finished charging, it went to standby. The idle power draw was 2.2 watts. I'll open the manual now with the QR code, which I then transferred to my computer for better readability. Scanning through here, I happen to notice in particular, right over here, it serves as a UPS, and I'd really like to test this a lot. So we're going to do that. But before we do, I'm going to make my way down to this QR code so we can install the software on my phone. And this just takes us to the App Store, so I'm going to hit Get and install it. And then I'm going to open it. I give it permission to find Bluetooth devices, allow notifications. Then I have to create an account because every device today has its own account. So I've signed in, I've got my email, and I was able to register. Then I click Add Devices. It found the device from across the house, which was surprising, but I had to get a bit closer to connect. Choosing Wi-Fi for this demo so I could work at my computer. I selected my network, typed in the password, and connected without any issue. Making my way to config on the top right corner, I wanted to see what AC battery charger was set to, and it's set at 1,000. And we see we could drop it from there. We were charging at about 650, but probably because it was already at 88%. All of these default values seem okay. There are little question marks I could hit next to some of them to figure out what they mean, like Smart AC Output Mode automatically shuts it off after 15 minutes. Scrolling down further, I do see that the firmware is out of date, so I'm going to update the firmware quickly by pressing on Firmware Update, then pressing the Update button on the bottom, and then once more. And now I'm going to wait like 10 minutes for this to finish. Showing the percentage towards completion on the device as well. We could see it moving on the phone. I'll speed everything up. At 100%, it'll restart. Then a few minutes later, it's completed and we're done. So now we could get underway. There are different buttons on this unit to turn on and off different systems, as we see currently at 3 watts. We're going to find out why. Running the light, I'm going to press the button now, and that's the lowest setting. And the lowest setting jumped up to 3.2, and then we'll get up a little higher, still 3.2. Keeping in mind the front panel also turned on, it's a trivial amount of draw. Also, you'd only turn on a light as you need it. You wouldn't just leave it on 24/7. So we'll shut it off, and we'll move on to the next component. It's worth noting if you don't need your battery connected to your iPhone, you could shut off the Wi-Fi, and that'll save you about another watt. The light and the indicator are now out. I'll shut off the screen, and we can see that idle is down to 2.1 watts. Who needs this connected to an iPhone if you have an emergency situation? It's not important. I didn't do it with the light because the drawer is tiny, but I want to make sure that as I test each section, I shut off the front panel after I make that adjustment. It should shut off on its own after a while, but it might be trivial, but it keeps things consistent. Back down to 3, I'll turn on the DC car charger section, and then what I want to do, obviously, is shut off that screen for consistency. And we're looking at about 3.1, and it stands to reason because it's DC to DC, not a whole lot going on there to keep this system running. So it's efficient. So now we'll shut it off and we're going to move over to AC. I'll let it settle back down to 3 watts and we're going to press the AC button over here for the 6 front sockets. Upon pressing the button, we hear all sorts of clicks and relays. Now looking at the current draw, I'll shut off the screen first before I take a measurement. Let it settle for a second. And we're looking at about 6.5 watts, 6.7 watts at idle. So that's over 3.5 watts just to run that system with nothing. That adds up if you need this for emergency power and you're running it 24/7. And this is why they've included these buttons to be able to shut off these features when you're not using it. It's also why they've added this Smart AC Output Mode shut-off feature to shut it off after 15 minutes if the consumption is under 20 watts. I do find it interesting when I shut off that feature, the consumption drops down to about 2.4 watts and slowly climbs back up to 3. But what if you're using a low wattage device here that's under 20 watts, such as one of these phone chargers? Well, you could disable that function, but this would still be a terribly inefficient method for charging when you should be using these ports up here. And they don't have a button to turn that system on and off. We'll find out why. The penalty that you would pay on DC to DC like this is almost non-existent, like the car socket. The USB-C on the left is capped at an impressive 100 watts, and even the right is no slouch at 30 watts. So we'll take some readings with this device. I'll plug it into the USB port. It should fire right up. An absolute trivial amount of draw on this device here. So now I'll plug in the output cable, followed by a connection to a telephone for charging. Went up to 2 watts and then up to 8.6 and change watts, as we see on the screen in the purple section right over here. I'll adjust the camera so we can get a better look at this. We'll see the kilowatt has not moved, so this is coming directly off the battery. Out of the unit, we could see a trivial amount of noise on the DC, but nothing terrible. It's also going to be filtered most likely in the phone, is going to smooth that out as well. That noise might increase slightly as the wattage is increased. Our current draw is only 1.6 amps on this test. As I turn on the front panel display, we could see that it's showing about 9 watts. It just rounds up, and it also shows 99.9 hours remaining. So it is pretty accurate with regard to how much power is being pulled from the unit. Once removed, we could see the indication from draw is gone. Turn it back on for a second. And there's no time for how much of the battery will be remaining. I'll just plug it back in and it should all just reappear. Just like that. We're going to turn on the AC because I want to conduct some real world tests. I'll be plugging this cable in for some testing that I'll be doing off camera. However, on camera, the first thing I want to do is plug in this VTVM, which will obviously have some sort of current draw when I turn it on. I'd unplugged it for a few minutes to allow it to discharge, and we could see that as it recharges at about 600 watts, it would take 1/10 of an hour. This meter is slightly off calibration due to a repair, but without the battery plugged in, the meter is showing 130 volts, and it may be off slightly. But if I plug it back in, and we saw that AC flicker when it kicked over, but the voltage is slightly higher when it's back on mains. Let's confirm that with a digital multimeter. Here we have the digital meter and the kilowatt showing 125, 123. I'll pull the AC out of the wall now. And we can see that it did drop at least 3 volts when it's on battery power. For most applications, these 3 volts won't make any difference. As I plug it back in, we'll see the voltage will climb back up once it engages. This particular piece of test equipment is very sensitive to any mains voltage fluctuations, and we could see that as it failed over just before, it did not reset. That's a very good sign. I'll plug it back in now and have it jump back over to mains and make sure that it still works in that direction. And it does. Another practical demonstration would be this USB cable attached to an AC charger. See, when I unplug it, it immediately lights up the screen. So I pull the power, and the screen never changes. So this did not even notice that the power failed over. It also could be due to filter capacitors that are in this device. I'll pull the power on this device. Again, another device that would be susceptible to any voltage fluctuations, and it did not even notice. I would not expect the needle to move on my DC power supply given all the filter capacitors in here. And while the AC light flickered slightly, the needle never moved. I'm plugging several of my devices in to drain the battery just a little bit. We can see the indications look good. I think that'll do it. Making my way to the car, I drop it on the scale and see that it does weigh 28.6 pounds. We'll be plugging it into the cigarette lighter of the car, which I have not cleaned before this video, so I apologize. And we'll see how this charges. Slowly ramping up is what we see here. And obviously I would expect this to be current limited, because if it pulls 1,000 watts, it's just going to blow fuses in your car. As it does ramp up, we see it top off in and around 113 watts. So that seems appropriate. Not a whole lot. It would take a while to charge, but this is just another option that's afforded to you beyond solar. All in all, this is great for a small amount of critical power. Given its weight, I wouldn't want to carry it around everywhere. It doesn't have wheels, but stationary, it does the job. Add solar onto that and you have a great, cheap and portable emergency power station. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button to be informed of more videos like this when they come out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?